Don't look now, but the Mariners have won 6 of their last 7, and they're back over 500 with a 10-1 blowout win over the Houston Astros. We love to see it. This is the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Friday, July 7th, 2023. This is Teddy Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 10-1, the final score from Minute Maid Park. The Mariners blow out the Astros to get back over 500 and secure at least a series split before the All-Star break. Heck of a win for the boys tonight. A lot of fun. And all that fun was really had just in the fourth inning, a 9-run fourth inning for the Mariners. They struck out 8 times through the first 3 innings. They did get a few hits off of Hunter Brown, but it was pretty ugly. They missed out on some key opportunities. But then they didn't miss anything in the fourth inning. Everyone got in on the fun, especially the bottom 3 of the Mariners lineup. That lefty stack of Jarred Kelenic, Mike Ford, and Kolten Wong, who go a combined 7 for 10 with 7 of the Mariners' 10 runs driven in. Also 5 walks for those guys. Pretty good night for Jarred Kelenic, Mike Ford, and Kolten Wong. Colby, thoughts on the offense tonight?
I mean, if you take away that fourth, they weren't very good. So clearly, things are
Of course, you have to start out with a negative comment on a night the Mariners win 10-1 in Houston of all places.
Anybody can hit in Houston.
This was the first time in like 5 years, I think they said on the broadcast,
that they've won since the 4-game sweep we talked about yesterday. Yeah,
that they've won consecutive games in Houston. Just consecutive games.
Well, I mean, after the fourth, I didn't have much fun, so doesn't really count.
Right. Mike Ford had a solo home run off of a position player.
Yeah. But no, the offense was. Look, they scored 10. Like, it was good. Like, there's nobody who would deny that.
He's trying so hard to spin this in a negative light.
Don't have to try that hard. They struck out 18 times or whatever.
Right. Hey, I wasn't far off. I told you in our DMs they were going to score 5 off of Brown, which they did, and then strike out like 21 times. And they got pretty close.
You also said they were going to win like 9-8, so not that close. But
you also said they weren't scoring 9 or 8 runs in this game, and then literally 20 minutes later they whatever.
Yeah, right. So we were both
continue.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it wasn't a perfect night on offense, but who cares? They struck out 14 times. They also walked 7. So, and again, they score 10, which is the number that really matters here. So, yeah, it was the bottom of the order just coming through with massive damage. Everybody with every starter, with the exception of Teoscar, got a hit, but Teo did walk twice, which might be the biggest breaking news thing of this entire game. But yeah, obviously it was the bottom 3 tonight that really just kind of carried the load. Shouldn't overlook Julio, just 2 for 6 tonight. But 4 hard hit balls. In fact, 3 of his hardest hit balls were all outs tonight. So go figure. Just kind of some bad BABIP luck for Julio as per usual. But yeah, everybody contributed up and down the lineup. Like I said, everybody got on base. Everybody except for Ty and Teoscar scored a run. Wow. So yeah, it was the damage was mostly 7, 8, 9. But everybody found a way to contribute something. And this game is completely different if JP doesn't kind of hook swing that low and away change up and serve it into right field, and then Julio comes up right after and smashes the 2 RBI single, which is something that we haven't seen a lot of. Typically in those situations, Julio will swing at the first pitch. He'll overswing, which he did, but he'll ground it to the shortstop and it's a double play. And then all of a sudden it's 3-1. And you're like, oh, well, but he didn't, he stayed up the middle, got it past the second baseman. And then it was on. It was on from there. The Astros pitchers, like I think you told me, they 35 control and command today.
Like
might
all
be a
of
bit
them.
generous. Yeah, it was a weird day for the Astros pitchers. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Mariners had 5 guys with multiple hits. Everybody got on base. All but 2 guys scored a run. Mike Ford scored 3 times in this game. And yeah, the bottom of the order just came through. And this was a big one because tomorrow you have Framber. And if you drop this one, you're going up against Framber tomorrow. There's a good chance you're going to drop that game. Then all of a sudden the game on Sunday carries tremendous amounts of weight. And while you still want to win the next 2, and you still can win the next 2, or even just one of them would make for an incredible road trip, securing your split right now. And by the way, not having to use really any of your high leverage arms for most of the last few days, that's huge. So you're in good position. Houston had to cycle through a lot of their bullpen guys tonight. So you do have the advantage for the rest of the series. This is all huge. And you win one of these next 2, the vibes going into the All-Star break are just immaculate. If you win both of them, I mean, you're at winning 9 of 10 heading into the break. And it just kind of feels like it's 2022 all over again. So offense was huge tonight. This is a great win because, again, with Framber tomorrow, you don't want to leave everything to chance on a Sunday, before the break. And the Mariners have it secured at least a split, which is something that we talked about, I think was the bare minimum. We needed a split out of the series, and the Mariners have it. And now they get to kind of, play with a little bit of house money, and they have a pretty good chance to take this series, even with Framber on the mound tomorrow. So,
yeah,
offense come through, and, I appreciate it. It made innings 5 through 9 a lot easier to watch.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And, with this Astros lineup, not without, or not with Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve, didn't really feel that too concerned about, them potentially mounting a comeback in this one. So it's pretty easy going from the, bottom of the 4th onward. And, even before that 4th inning, this Mariners offense, I mean, they, obviously they struck out 8 times, but they at least were able to get that pitch count on Hunter Brown up. They really made him earn those 8 strikeouts at the very least, and were able to, drive him out of this game in the 4th inning. So
took a lot of 98 down the middle. I don't know if that's earning a strikeout, but
I mean, all right, yeah,
they
on the actual strikeout pitches, sure, yeah, sure, but yeah,
but no,
making him more to that point, though,
yeah, they ran his pitch count up. There were some long at bats, and like you said, they did generate traffic. So those are high stress at bats and high stress pitches for Brown, who's a rookie. I don't want to say he's kind of hitting the first half wall here because he's not a guy who doesn't have the workload on him. But they definitely wore him down in the first 3 innings, despite the just horrendous at bats with runners in scoring position. And then what they did is something that we've been begging them to do this entire season: hit a ball in the gap, play add-on when you have a guy on the ropes, and just deliver the kill shot. And we've seen them do time and time again fail to do that. Tonight, they absolutely did not. They played add-on. They added the kill shot. They got the big double with the bases loaded that we've been looking for. And obviously, it basically, we might still be in the 4th inning if Kolten Wong didn't try to stretch a double into a triple. So thank you for that, Kolten. You're the reason why we can get this podcast out at a reasonable hour.
That was the ultimate heat check.
It was. It was.
That's Steph Curry throwing up a 3 from the half court, Yeah. All right. We're going to talk about Luis Castillo. We're going to talk about tomorrow's game in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by Gametime. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Gametime is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. And with killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. So forget planning months in advance. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Snag the tickets without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem promo code Locked On MLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 10-1 blowout win over the Houston Astros tonight at Minute Maid Park. Tomorrow, the Mariners are going for the series win against Framber Valdez. You can catch all the action on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Let's talk about the Mariners starter tonight, Luis Castillo. Kind of a weird start for him. He gave up a lot of hard contact to start this game, but he ends up going 7 innings pitched, just 1 run allowed, not earned, 5 hits, didn't get his first strikeout of the game until the 5th inning. He finishes the night with 3 strikeouts, no walks, and huge, no home runs allowed tonight. But he did give up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hard hit balls tonight. That's a lot. But what did you think about Castillo tonight?
Yeah, 6 or 7 of those came in the first 4. It was somewhat similar to the Tampa Bay start, except for he didn't get the bad BABIP luck that he had against Tampa. He had pretty good BABIP luck, obviously. A lot of rocket shots hit right to JP and Kolten Wong. So they were on him, and they had the same game plan that they had against George Kirby. I imagine it's the same game plan they'll run out there with Brian Wu, which is kind of the makeup of their lineup right now. They're going to be very aggressive early in counts, and you kind of look at what Kirby did yesterday. You look at what Castillo did today. He threw his 2-seamer more than his 4-seamer, and he used the slider quite a bit. 25% slider, 35% sinker. Not a lot of whiffs. His best whiff pitch was actually the 4-seamer, 33%, which is pretty good for a 4-seamer. Nothing to scoff at. He also got 8 called strikes on that pitch. So he threw 28 of them. He got a whiff or a called strike on almost half of them. So it was a good pitch. The 4-seamer was a good pitch for him. But yeah, it was sinker, slider mostly today. Not a ton of changeups. Again, right-handed heavy, aggressive lineup. The Mariners are going to kind of play into that strategy. They're going to go after guys early in counts. They're going to challenge them with fastballs early in count. It's going to be the same thing we're going to see from Brian Wu tomorrow. So, it's a bit of a tough matchup with Wu. That's kind of probably your best bet. But again, the Astros don't have the lefties to stack right now to really challenge this Mariners rotation. So overall, I thought Castillo was good, not great. Probably could have gotten 8 out of him if you really wanted to push him, but with an 8-run lead at the time and him at 89 pitches, knowing that he's not going to get the full all-star break off, it makes sense. Just get him out of the game. 7 innings, 1-run ball, unearned run, no walks, no home runs. Just get him out of the game at that point. I thought he was okay. I thought he was pretty good. But I would stop short at, he wasn't as good as the box score would lead you to believe, but he wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a solid night for Luis Castillo.
Adam Beckwith on Twitter right now reminded me that you were actually right that the Mariners weren't going to score 8 or 9 runs because they scored 10. So chills. I guess you did it again. Luis Castillo finishes his all-star first half with a record of 6-6, 117 strikeouts and 28 walks, over 107 and a third innings pitched. That's a 9.81 Ks per 9, 2.35 walks per 9, 2.85 ERA, 3.79 FIP, 3.70 xFIP. Isaiah Campbell made his major league debut tonight in the 8th inning. Really cool to see with his family there in attendance. He gets his first major league strikeout. Congratulations to Campbell. Any thoughts on Campbell?
No. Looked like a middle reliever to me.
Yeah, sure.
94 to 96 slider.
Yeah.
They called it a cutter. Like StatCast has a cutter and a slider. I don't remember Campbell having a cutter. So I don't know if that's mischaracterization or if I'm just misremembering his skill set. He used to have a pretty wicked split change when he was at Arkansas, but I think he ditched that after he had some arm issues. So it's mostly fastball slider right now, but yeah, I thought it was fine. Again, nothing nothing earth shattering. Like he looked kind of like Ty Adcock, which Adcock's been really good at, and he's kind of solidified the middle. So I think Campbell can certainly do that. Congratulations to him. First Portuguese-born player since 1875 to appear in a major league game. First ever Portuguese-born pitcher to pitch in Major League Baseball. And yeah, I thought he was fine. He did get his first strikeout. That's awesome. Congratulations. The four seamer, like I said, it was 94. It was 94 to 96. Topped out at 96. The cutter, slider, whatever. I don't know if there's a difference between them or if that's just misclassified. But it looked like it had pretty good movement on it. But it looked like maybe overthrowing a bit. A lot of them were elevated and towards the inner half of the plate. That's not where you want that pitch. So, overall, it's a major league debut. It was a 1-2-3. He got a strikeout. Hard to complain. Yep. And you could see why the Mariners are pretty high on Campbell, and why, just to get ahead of this, why going out and trading for like a middle reliever type in the next few weeks? Probably not necessary, because you still have guys like Devin Sweet down there. You still have AJ Puckett down there. You have Riley O'Brien down there. You have Prolander Baroa. All those guys
Travis
are at
Coon.
least mid. Yeah, all those guys are at least mid leverage arms, and it kind of looks like that's what Campbell's going to be, but there's certainly upside for more, because if you look at his minor league numbers, he doesn't walk guys, he strike guys out, and the stuff is pretty good. So I don't think we saw his best stuff tonight. But again, 1-2-3 inning, one strikeout, major league debut, A+, no notes.
Yeah, clean inning for him, and a really cool story. Really cool to see him be able to work his way back from the injuries that he dealt with and make his major league debut tonight. So good for him. Looking forward to seeing him pitch more in a Mariners uniform in the future. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 10-1 victory over the Houston Astros. Again, you can catch Game 3 of this series on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And that's what we're talking about now. Framber Valdez versus Brian Wu. Wu's final start of the first half of the season. What do you think going into this one? Coming off of a really nice start in San Francisco, now going up against Houston for the first time in his career.
Yeah, certainly helps that Yordan isn't in the lineup. So thank the Lord for that. But Wu, again, like I talked about in the Castillo section, I feel like we know what the Astros are, what their lineup can currently, present to a right-handed starter right now, which is a couple of lefties. That's about it. They're going to be very aggressive on the fastball. Wu throws a ton of fastballs. So if he can locate, Wu has a potential to get deep in this game, because it'll keep his pitch count down, and the Mariners can kind of, not be as quick triggered in that regard. But on the other hand, the bullpen is well rested. All your high leverage arms are available. And you have a 4-day break coming up in 2 days. So we'll see how the Mariners want to handle that. They could just, get through the lineup 1.5 times and then just kind of piece it after that. We'll see. I think how the offense performs against Framber is going to be a pretty big determining factor there. But yeah, for Wu, I think it's probably the same game plan we're seeing from Kirby and Castillo, and the same game plan we see from the Astros. So my guess is we're going to see a lot of sinkers from Wu. We're going to see a lot of sliders. If he locates them on the corners, he should be fine. If he's in the middle of the plate, he's in danger. So, it seems cliche. It seems boring to sit here and constantly say over and over again that, like, control and command, do what you do best. That really is the key to success with just about every single pitcher in Major League Baseball. And Wu's stuff is certainly good enough that he shouldn't worry or try to drastically change what he does to attack a lineup. Just go after him with your fastball, 4-seam, 2-seam, mostly 2-seam. And, if he has the good slider going tomorrow, he has a shot with the aggression of the Astros lineup to go, 6 innings and only throw 75, 80 pitches, which would be great. But again, the Mariners bullpen is well rested. You're going to have 4 days off. The entire bullpen is going to have 4 days off. So I do wonder if maybe they're a tad aggressive in tomorrow's game. But yeah, game plan wise, 2-seam slider.
Valdez has been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year. All-Star, though he's not going to appear in the All-Star game because he's been dealing with an ankle issue. He was actually pushed back to tomorrow's slot. He has been cleared, physically, obviously, because he's pitching tomorrow. But maybe you're catching him at not necessarily 100%. And this is going to be a game, with Wu. You never know with a rookie pitcher. You might need to score some runs tomorrow. So, especially against a veteran lineup like Houston. Obviously, no Altuve, no Alvarez, but still a pretty talented lineup, and a savvy lineup for sure. That's either maybe like Colby said, going to be very aggressive or maybe very patient with Wu. So we'll see. But you're going to need to score some runs. So tomorrow, you're going to need to try and take advantage of any little opportunities that Valdez gives you. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, Framber probably would have been a really high chance that Framber was going to start the All-Star game on Tuesday. Like he's been that good since last year. And he's kind of a fun pitcher to watch, not when he's pitching against you. But it's going to be a ton of ground balls. We know that he works down in the zone. He's got a pretty good curveball. He's been striking more and more guys out each year. This year he's over a strikeout per 9. So you're going to have your A game. Hopefully you can get the pitch count up, get to this kind of beaten down Astros bullpen. But you're going to have to bring your A game and you're going to have to hope that the BABIP luck is with you because you are going to hit a lot of ground balls. That's just the way it is. And when he misses up in the zone, you better do damage because he's probably only going to do that once or twice an inning. So it'll be tough. It'll be tough for the Mariners offense. Kind of similar to facing Logan Webb, only a little bit better.
Yeah. Valdez, obviously in game 2 of the ALDS didn't have his best curveball command. So hopefully that's what we see tomorrow. Just some spotty command on that because that's kind of his bread and butter there.
Right, it is. It's a great pitch, and it's a pitch the Mariners have struggled against. The Mariners don't hit curveballs that well.
Yeah.
So it is a poor matchup. But again, Framber with kind of the ankle thing, maybe Houston is going to get him out a little earlier than they otherwise would. Maybe you can get him to move around on the mound a little bit, challenge him to field his position, and drive that pitch count up by having good long at bats, and maybe you can get him out of there after 4 or 5 and go to work on the bullpen. But we'll see. I'm anticipating a low scoring game tomorrow, but I would have probably told you the same thing tonight. And
it was for the Astros, to be fair.
It's been a low scoring series for the Astros, to be fair.
It has indeed. Pretty good start to the series for the Mariners. And you know what? Let's get greedy. Let's win another, and maybe another after that one. Going to the All-Star break, feeling pretty good.
I'd allow it.
Yeah, same.
I'll give my sign of approval on that.
So, quick programming note for you guys. On Sunday night during the draft, close to when the Mariners are going to be picking, and keep in mind they're going to be picking 3 times, well, actually 4 times on Sunday night, but 3 times pretty much in the first round, right, in the top 30. Lindsey Crosby of Locked On MLB Prospects and Jeff Ellis of Locked On Guardians will be going live on our channel here. We will not be involved, but they will be on here giving their live reaction to the Mariners picks. You guys will want to hear what they have to say. Also, their analysis will be re-uploaded to the channel if you miss it. But we will be providing you guys with some draft coverage either Sunday night or Monday afternoon. So stay tuned for that. Colby, do you want to tempt fate and maybe talk some trade real quick? Because we do have a few minutes to talk, or should we just head out of here?
I was going to, because you just mentioned the draft, I was going to throw out there that everybody should go read Joe Doyle's latest mock draft. There are some interesting notes on there. He's over at Future Star Series. You guys know Joe. If you're involved in Mariners Twitter whatsoever, or if you've ever listened to the show, Joe's a friend of the program. I think he likes me more than Ty, but Ty's intimidated. That's why I don't go on with Joe. Right. But his last mock draft is pretty interesting. It has kind of a surprise new development that he is hearing is legitimately possible. I don't want to spoil everything, but a guy that I think Ty and I talked about last week as like probably not going to get to 22. A couple of guys like that.
Yeah.
Now Joe believes that there is a good chance that they could fall to the Mariners at 22, and he believes if one of them does, the Mariners will absolutely take him. So, I would check that out. Do you want to talk about one of them, Ty?
Sure. Let's talk
about the one he named or the one he said maybe, like if like the other receiving votes.
Well, he's technically mocked both of them to the Mariners at one point recently, or another. Yeah, he mocked. We're talking about Tommy Troy here.
Yeah,
and we're talking about Enrique Bradfield. He mocked Bradfield to the Mariners on Twitter, on a Twitter mock that he did a few days ago, and then Troy in his official mock 5.0 on Future Stars Series tonight. You just want to talk about both of them real quick? Like, can we do that? Because I'm really like intrigued by both of them. I really don't want to choose.
Sure. So Tommy Troy, shortstop from Stanford. There used to be this idea that you don't draft Stanford players because the coach there messes with their swing. And it just kind of like ruins it. It's all about contact and line drive or lower. It just sap guys of natural power. You remember Austin Wilson, I believe, former Mariners second round pick. He had big time raw power, but he just could never relearn how to swing. Essentially, that stereotype is kind of gone now. Most people seem to think that that's not a thing. So the Stanford curse, not really a thing. But Tommy Troy is 5'10", about 200. He's a pretty well built guy, pretty athletic. More than likely a second baseman at the next level, I think it's fair to say. But he is solid average across the board. There is above average raw power there. There's an above average hit tool in there. He is a, potentially plus runner, might get to 60 grade. And obviously these grades all vary depending on how long ago people watch them. But Tommy Troy is a really good college player. He might be one of the best all around players in this draft. Just not a lot of weakness to his game. And here's kind of the big one that makes it sort of obvious. The Mariners would really like to draft Tommy Troy. Dude crushed the Cape Cod League last summer. 310, 380. Yeah, they love the performers at the Cape Cod League.
Yeah.
He slashed 310, 386, 531. As a college kid using wood bats. So
the Cape is to the Mariners what the Senior Bowl is to the Seahawks.
It's very, very similar. So I think Troy is kind of a high floor, medium upside guy, but there's a lot of hit tool here. It's kind of similar to college Cole Young, which, imagine if Cole Young was 2 years closer to the big leagues. That's kind of what we're talking about here. That'd be pretty nice. Troy is got very few warts in his game. And again, it's a high floor, I would say medium ceiling. I think there's an all-star potential there, but I don't think he's like a 10-time all-star type of player. And you're not really going to get that guy, at 22, unless you get really lucky.
Right.
So that's Troy.
What about Bradfield? Because he's someone that I've seen as high as 5,
6
in some mocks. Yeah. I think Joe had him at 6 to the A's maybe a week ago. So why would he fall that far?
Money. So essentially, right, Bradfield is probably not a top 10 player in this draft. He's a good player. He's a very good player, but he's not probably a top 10 guy. But he's kind of in that next range. So if you can get him at $1 million less than somebody else who's similar, you can use that $1 million with your second pick to go and get a better player. So you kind of get like 2 top 15 picks instead of just a top 5 and like a top 40 guy, as teams do when they try to manipulate the bonus pool system. So I wouldn't be shocked at all if he went in the top 10. He's a pretty good hitter. But Bradfield, his tool is speed. He would be one of the fastest players in baseball the second he signs. I mean, he already is, but he'd be one of the fastest players in professional baseball the second he signs. He's also a plus defensive center fielder. Not a good arm, well below average arm. So, he really does have to be plus in center. He would be excellent in left, but the bat doesn't really profile there. So he's got to continue to be a really good defensive center fielder. He's got to steal bags. That is how he's going to make a big impact on the bases. Hit tool's fine. It's certainly not like he's Billy Hamilton. I don't think that's a fair comp. And he does have some pop. It's not good pop. It's below average pop, but maybe 10 home runs. But you're drafting Bradfield because you think he is a plus defensive center fielder. You think he's going to hit, 280. You think he's going to put up a 350 on base, and you think he's going to steal 50 bags. That's what you're drafting if you're thinking about taking Bradfield. Kind of like a really common kind of comp for him. And Ty, I think you're going to love this one. Kenny Lofton, longtime major leaguer. I've seen some floor comps on him at Juan Pierre. So
that was another one that I was going to throw out. I was like,
yeah,
Montier?
yeah. But Kenny Lofton, honestly, probably deserves more of a Hall of Fame discussion than he ever got. But
Kenny
Bradfield
Lofton's
is
awesome.
Bradfield is a slasher, and he is going to run. Like that is what he does. So kind of your prototypical leadoff guy. At least that's what you're hoping with plus defensive center field. And he's probably going to be in the big leagues within 2 years. So 2 really interesting guys. I'd probably prefer Troy, just because,
Okay.
you know, I usually like the bat more than anything with a player. And because Troy has a chance to be, you know, a above average second baseman who hits 20 home runs, 35 doubles, maybe even steal 10, 15 bags. I think that's a little more valuable than Bradfield being, you know, a 350 on base guy who steals 40 bags. It's, you know, it's up in the air. I would be pretty happy with either of them.
There's obviously no sure thing in the draft, but you know, you got to weigh, you know, more safety compared to the risk reward. And it feels like Bradfield is the risk reward guy and Troy's more the safer pick on that front.
Yeah. I think they're both major leaguers,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I think, you know, if you're talking about like who's the multi-year all-star, probably lean Troy if I had to pick one, but
Sure.
I'd be pretty happy with either.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun to see play
Mhm.
out. Really, really interested to see how the Mariners
Yep.
maneuver just having this rare opportunity. We've talked about it
Mhm.
for so long now because we've known for so long that they were going to have these 3 picks, and now we're going to finally see it play out on Sunday night. Again, you can catch Lindsey Crosby and Jeff Ellis break down all the action live here on the channel close to the Mariners 3 picks on Sunday night, and then we'll get with you and give you our reaction to the selections as well, either Sunday night or Monday afternoon. So stay glued to the channel here on Locked On Mariners. But for now, that's going to do it for the week here on Locked On Mariners. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. That's DANEGNZLZ. And Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well over at Locked On Mariners. That's one word, Locked On Mariners. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Again, you can catch the Mariners and the Astros tomorrow on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. Have yourself a beautiful baseball night and a beautiful baseball weekend, and we'll see you next time. Peace.